Welcome to the PST Coaches Show. Today I've got Tony Haynes with me. We're going to talk a little bit about some fun stories through some coaching history with him and maybe a little bit when we were together at Ellsworth, just for kicks and giggles. And then on the clinic side today, Coach Haynes is going to bring in some 12 personnel, a little empty stuff with some mobile quarterback stuff. And I'm pretty excited to see what all he brought with him for that. And without further ado, Coach Haynes, how you doing today?
Doing good, Coach Ramey. Been too long since I seen you, man.
Yeah, we got to do this a little bit more often now.
Yeah.
Especially with coronacation hitting everybody and seasons getting cut short. I think a lot of people are kind of doing this. And so I thought, why not add more work to my plate and bring you on the show, because that's always a lot of work anyway.
No doubt. You need more work to do. So I'm glad you're doing this because you need more things to fill up your time.
Oh, 100%.
Man, you know what's funny is when you hit me up about this, it was probably, 4 or 5 days ago?
Right.
And just the idea of, hey, we'll get some stuff together. Hey, just something you want to sit and talk ball about. For me, I was like, that sounds simple. Like, I just pick a concept or something. We'll talk a little ball about a concept. Well, being a year or two out of it now and having a chance to pick a concept, I'm like, I'm like a kid on Christmas. I'm like, man, I don't know what concept I want to go with. I thought long and hard on this. Like, it got down to the last minute before I had decided what I want to talk about. But I figured, all right, what's going to interest me the most? I know what it is. So
I'm
it
just
took me
really
a
glad
while
you
to
didn't
get
bring a
started.
whole lot of bubble clinic stuff for me.
Well, I thought about what you needed. And I thought, if there's anything that Ramey needs, it's some more confirmation on the value of a solid bubble screen system. And, but, I didn't have the time to put that together, because Lord knows, to put together a good bubble screen tape, is going to take some serious time and technology.
You got a bunch of bubble screen tape.
Tons.
I'm glad you went with what you went with. I think it'll be a good time. So listen, one of my favorite stories from you and when we were working together at Ellsworth, could you could you tell me the promise me story one more time?
You're going to get me in trouble telling that one.
Well, I mean, you don't have to include all the
story
names.
I told you from my UAB days.
I mean, it's something that I still think about, like, on a weekly basis, because I'll still tell, like, my wide receivers coach something like that, and I'll say, promise me he's not going to do that. And I'll always be thinking about it. Like, it always makes me laugh, because at least once a week of practice, I think of that story.
All right. Well, look, first off, I got to explain where I was at for this story. I had the wonderful opportunity to be an offensive GA at UAB for 3 seasons. Okay. And when I was at UAB, our head coach was Neil Callaway, who I have just an unbelievable respect for. He's one of the best men I've ever had a chance to be around. Love that man to death. Okay. And then the staff that we had there at UAB was actually full of a bunch of guys who are highly successful now. So, we had our 2 coordinators back then were Coach Eric Schumann was our defense coordinator, but our offense coordinator, who I worked for directly, was Kim Helton, Kim Helton has forgot more football than most of us have ever learned. Just a guy who has a deep career working with some of the best football players you've ever seen. A guy that was a offensive line coach in the NFL for years, was a head coach at University of Houston. Somebody that gave me a ton in this game in terms of, like, bringing together the pass game and pass protections. Because I kind of grew up as an air raid guy. Started at Valdosta State, Chris Hatcher, that whole deal. And I learned a ton from those guys. But then you go to UAB, and I had a chance to learn about the passing game from a box perspective and how to handle protections and take care of the quarterback and just kind of that whole game that exists right there, and had some really valuable time there. Now, one of the things I will tell you about Coach Helton is John Wayne the moment he walks in the building. I mean, he is a man's man. There's no getting around it. That man, he's going to eat his steak rare. You might catch him with a cowboy hat on sometimes. I mean, he is who he is. And thank God he's never been anything else, because I love that man to death. But at the same time, you get some of the best stories that you ever heard of. When working for him at UAB, the offensive staff we had under him was full of a bunch of really good guys too. So, for example, our quarterbacks coach was Kim's son, Tyson, and Tyson Helton. He's the head coach at Western Kentucky right now. Mm-hmm. You talk about a guy that's just an all-around great football coach, great recruiter. His quarterbacks love playing for him. He's a guy that preaches toughness, but just, a guy who's a grinder, really smart guy, great background. He worked for June Jones early on in his career, that whole run and shoot system. So I had a chance to, work for him. Our offensive line coach was Will Friend. Will Friend's at University of Tennessee right now. Has worked at University of Georgia, Colorado State. Guy that, played at Alabama, world class. Love Coach Friend to death. Tim Bowens was our wide receivers coach. Coach Bowens is the head football coach over at Clark Atlanta right now. So you got another head coach right there. And then Steve Davenport, actually, when he left UAB, he left there to be a head coach at the FCS level. And that's where I got my first full-time D1 job, was working for him at Savannah State. So we had some really good coaches that were on that staff.
No doubt. But
they were all so closely connected before UAB, because they were all personally connected to Neil Callaway. Will Friend played for him at Alabama. Tim Bowens was a player at Alabama for him. When Kim Helton was the head coach at University of Houston, his offense coordinator was Neil Callaway. So they were like family right there. And so Tyson was, basically a ball boy kid on the sidelines back in, going back in their days coaching. So it was a real just kind of family atmosphere type of. These guys all knew each other, and they knew each other well, right?
And then there's
I'm just in the background. I'm just doing what I'm told.
You're there to be seen, not to be heard, all that good stuff.
So what you get is, we all know when you're in a football office, everybody has an ego, everybody has an opinion, and everybody thinks that their opinion is the end all be all of everything. I know that I'm right and everybody else is wrong, and the world is going to explode if we don't do it my way. Everybody's got those opinions. So when you get into those big heavy meetings and you've got a staff room full of guys who know each other on a very personal level, man, you get some great moments with those guys. I mean, you might have some heated moments, whatever, but stuff where, hey, when all the dust settles, just some great stories you can sit and laugh about. One of the best stories, I used to love watching Kim and Tyson working together, because Kim had raised him to be such a professional football coach and gave him a great work ethic, and Tyson's one of the best ones around. But at the same time, Kim never made it easy for Tyson either, right? In fact, if there was anybody he was going to be hard on, it was going to be Tyson first and foremost. So when they would come up with our pass plans week in and week out, we were traditionally a run first team. In fact, we really put an emphasis on the quarterback run game. It gave us a big edge, gave us numbers in the box, but it gave us a chance to not get dictated to as an offense.
But you guys had a guy that could go, right?
We did. The quarterback in 08 and 09 was Joe Webb, who
That's right.
One of the best athletes I've ever been around in my life. And Joe Webb started for us at quarterback, but would have also been our number one wide receiver, probably would have started for us at defensive end, free safety. I mean, a guy that could literally play everything. Mm-hmm. Unbelievable athlete. And a world-class person. You can't meet somebody as good as Joe Webb. But when it came to the passing game, Joe could throw the ball a quarter mile but Joe wasn't. The good Lord didn't make Joe to drop back and read coverages and just go place the ball all over the field, right? He gave him other talents, which is why Joe started for us at quarterback. So we didn't want to have a passing game that was going to be, heavily complicated. We didn't want to have something, that was going to be, hey, 1, 2, 3, 4 progression reads, any of that stuff. We wanted to force teams to play single high coverage, and then we wanted to go take advantage of it with a simple passing game because Joe had a big arm.
Right.
So there had been some conversations going on during the week. I want to say we were playing SMU that week. SMU was coming to us. This was 2008. Okay, SMU was coming to us, and we had a big talk that week about what we were going to do with the pass game and how we were going to feature the smash concept. Okay, I know smash concept is pretty simple, cut and dry deal, but Kim had some concerns going into that week about making sure on certain concepts that Joe was going to put the ball where we know the ball needed to go. We knew where the ball needed to go. Kim knew where it needed to go. Tyson knew where it needed to go. We just need to make sure that Joe that thing was going to go where we wanted it to go. We get into a crucial moment of the game. It's a third down, and we needed to convert on this third down. And smash had been a thing we talked about. And Kim hadn't really called much smash that game because he didn't feel comfortable about that one. And we get into a crucial third down, and Tyson had been talking with him over the headset over the last few series about maybe getting into some of that smash. And Kim kept saying, hey, maybe we'll get to it. I don't know how I feel about it. Well, we get into that crucial third down moment. And again, that epic moment, that heated moment of, I know I'm right. You know what I mean? We all love to be, we all love to be Ben-Hur or Moses. That epic, moment in a movie. We think that's what's going on. We're in an epic moment.
Right.
So Tyson tells Coach Helt, hey, that's what we need to run. Joe's going to put the ball where we want it. Kim's not feeling good about it. I remember we're in a timeout, and Kim says to Tyson, he says, Tyson, and I'm kind of doing his voice right now a little bit, so bear with me, buddy.
It's a story, man. You got to go all out.
Tyson, I'm worried that I'm just worried that he's going to throw it to the wrong place. Tyson says, Coach, we worked on this all week. I can promise you, I have been through this with Joe up and down. Joe is going to do the right thing. And Kim says to me, Tyson, you're going to have to promise me. You promise me that the boy is going to throw it to this place. I need to know that. Coach, I'm telling you, he's going to do that. No, Tyson, I need you to promise me that the ball is going to go to this place. So Tyson, kind of laughing a little bit, says, all right, Coach, I promise you. You know what I mean? I promise you the ball is going to go there. Okay, so we've got the promise in place. Kim calls the play. Tyson signals it into Joe. Here we go. We lined up. In fact, they gave us exactly what Kim and Tyson knew we were going to get. Hey, we snapped the ball. Joe drops back, and Joe's not looking where he needs to be looking. And so I can hear Kim. He's going, Tyson, where is he going to go with the? And then there it is. The ball leaves going to the wrong place. And Kim's on the headset, and he's going, you promised me. You promised me. Over. You promised me. And they intercept the ball. They're running it back. Our guys are getting cracked back, and the DB's running through. And all this is happening the whole time. He's just banging on the, you promised me. You promised me. And just, a horrible moment in the game, defeating moment right there. But I can remember, and maybe it was 2 weeks later or something, enough time had gone by so that pain had kind of died down. And I think it was probably Will Friend or something that brought it up in the meeting, and that we all had a good laugh. That was just one of the funniest things I'd ever heard.
Yeah. Coach, when I tell you I think about that story once a week at practice or in a game situation, I think of that story once a week. in practice or in a game situation. I love that
Well,
story so much.
but hey, and the story is so fitting because look, let's be honest. As an offensive coordinator, the most important thing that has to happen, the first thing that has to happen in order to go out there and execute, is the quarterback has to do with the ball the thing that he's supposed to do with the ball, right? No matter
Right.
what else we do, if the quarterback doesn't do the thing with the ball he's supposed to do, nothing else really matters, right?
Correct.
I mean, maybe it's as simple as he needs to take the snap and hand it to the running back because we call it power. But if he doesn't take it and hand it to that running back, power don't matter nothing anymore, right? We got to bust the
Right.
play. So it's so funny hearing that because it really does just boil down to everything. Ball gets snapped, quarterback's supposed to do the right thing. Somebody promised me that he didn't, or that he was gonna, and he didn't. Now I'm brokenhearted. So we've all been there.
Well, and this is not nearly as funny, but one of my favorite moments working with you at Ellsworth, not during a football game, had nothing to do with schematic, none of that stuff. My favorite moment with you was that first spring, I guess really our only spring. That spring,
Yeah.
it was like practice 4, and it's snowing
So it was 20
in
degrees outside.
mid-April, and I'm just sitting in the office like, okay, we got
We had
practice here in
probably just
about
scraped all the
2
snow off of
hours.
the field.
Oh, okay. Hey guys, we got to go put some paint down on that practice field. And the practice field is a couple miles off campus because we're using the rugby fields at the time. So we got to
Yeah.
drive out there in the snow. It's like 10 degrees, shovel the snow off so we can paint white lines in the snow on this practice rugby field. And I had been in Iowa for about, golly, maybe a month and a half, 5-6 weeks. And I'm just from Southeast Texas, Houston, Texas, sitting up here in Iowa Falls going, what in the world did I get myself into, man? And I'll never forget taking a shovel to get snow to then finish painting my white line with snow all around it. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
And so
Hey,
all
I tell you
my
what though.
Iowa people in Wisconsin and Minnesota, all those coaches and players I got to meet up there, man, golly, I can't imagine doing that year in and year out every day. I'm okay not having to shovel snow ever again.
You know, I can remember being a GA, and it's never easy being a GA because you always got some extra things that you got to do that aren't necessarily part of the job title, right? And we've all had that deal, whether it's, hey, you gotta, you need you to go run to the gas station, pick up a can of dip or whatever it may be. I can remember a situation. It never happened to me. I was lucky, but I can remember like, guys, hey, you got to go. I need you to go watch my kids for an hour, stuff like that. I mean, but every GA goes through it, right? Right. And it's not like, usually the guy that's G'ing you down, if we're really being honest, he's probably been through it himself too. You know what I mean? Like every GA goes through it. But I swear, what you guys went through at Ellsworth, not even as GAs, as assistant coaches, what you guys had to do to earn it and try to make us be successful. God bless you guys. I mean, you guys got put through the fire. There was
That JUCO grind is tough, and that one up in Iowa Falls was pretty rough at times. But
I would say the majority of my career has all been JUCO. I was at Glenn, I was at Butler, I was at Coffeyville. Majority for me has all been JUCO. I ain't never been through nothing like what we went through at Ellsworth. That was some go out there and earn it right there. That was some tough stuff. But I knew we were in something special. I can't remember if this was springtime or if it was in the fall, but spending the majority of my career in Kansas.
right.
Kansas gets cold, but it gets cold because you get all the wind comes through, right? I mean, if it's cold outside and there's no wind, you're usually not going to be cold because there's no wind chill,
Right. Yeah. 100%.
You take a little bit of wind at like 30 degrees and it's going to get to your bones. But I can remember one of those days at Ellsworth. There was no wind outside, none. I mean, if I had, dropped a kitten's whisker, it was going to fall directly straight down to the ground.
Right.
No wind outside whatsoever. And I was freezing cold because it was so cold there. I mean, like that, frozen up at your nostrils and
Oh,
your snot.
100%.
Holy cow, we went through it.
That's how you
But
put a Texas kid and a Florida guy, and we go hang out in Iowa together. It's just, we're going to get cold, man. It's going to happen.
Good times.
Well, hey, just the flip subjects here. Let's start watching a little video with you. And so you mentioned Coffeyville, Butler, all those places. And so you obviously Ellsworth, Blinn as well. So talking some JUCO stuff. I'm guessing it's kind of what we've got today, right? It's just some JUCO film from last couple of years.
Yeah. My first coordinating job, true, like coordinating the entire offense, was in 2012 at Butler.
Okay.
And I did that for 3 years. Coordinated a year at the D2 level, and then went to Coffeyville, coordinated there for 2 years, and then after that was when I became the head coach at Ellsworth.
Okay.
So my offensive coordinating days, my being in charge of the X and O's, that was all at JUCO. So yeah, it's going to be from a JUCO perspective.
Cool. Well, let's screen share it to you real quick, and let's see what we got.
Yeah. Well, let's. Yeah, you got me screen shared up right now.
And so you'll hit that screen share at the bottom.
Oh, my bad. That's right. Got that. Okay. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that off real quick. Because I'm going to just kind of put some stuff on the board up here. But so this was a big reason why I want to talk about 12 personnel. So of the years that I was, coordinating on the JUCO level, for whatever reason, wherever I was at, we always had good quarterbacks. Okay. And for the early part of my coordinating time, I had quarterbacks that stayed healthy. Well, in 2017 and then again in 2018. In 2017, I was the offensive coordinator at Coffeyville, and we had our first, second, at one time we had lost our first, second, and our third string quarterbacks, and we were down to our fourth string guy, who was a true freshman. And then you fast forward a year, and I'm the head coach at Ellsworth. You were with me. We got to one game, we were on the fifth string quarterback,
right? Because
guys had gotten hurt, things had happened. And man, when you get down to that point, it can become tough. I mean, one of the greatest, most valuable things you can have as a play caller is to have a quarterback who has been with you long enough so that he really knows what it is you're trying to do. He has some feel for how you're going to call plays, or at least when you call a play, kind of where you're going with this. You know what I mean? He has a feel for who we are. Well, at the JUCO level, you don't have that. I mean, even if you do have a quarterback who spent some time with you, it's typically, it's not that common that you're going to have a guy that's been with you for 2 seasons.
Right. I mean, at the very most, you're talking like redshirt sophomore kind of deals, but I mean, even then, that's rare, right?
Right. I mean, if what you would consider good experience at the JUCO level is if you got a guy who has gone through spring camp with you, and now you got him for the season. You know what I mean? At least at that point, you've got a whole bunch of reps. But to have a guy who is a starter one season, go through spring, and then be your starter again, I mean, if you can get that at the JUCO level, that is immensely valuable, because that's rare. That hardly ever happens. So being in 2017 and 2018, that was the case, that we had lost our starters and even our second strings, and we were getting down into the lower portions of the quarterback depth chart. One of the big things is what we talked about earlier, which is you need to have a system in place so that quarterback can go do the right things with the football. Okay. And you need to make sure that you have a system that is able to take advantage of his strengths, stay away from his weaknesses, so that everybody's hard work and getting ready for Saturday's game is not going to be for nothing.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like if I've got whoever my starter is, most likely that guy in the recruiting process is, he's world class throwing the football. He's, also going to be athletic on top of it, but he's a guy who can throw the ball over the field. Once you start getting into, your third and fourth string guys, those guys are going to have limitations in some portion of their game. It's the reason that they're not the starter, right? So what you got to do is you have to have a system in place that is going to be able to adjust to what talent you have access to, because it may change. It's not going to be guaranteed throughout the entire course of the season when it's all said and done. So one of the things that we strive for, one of the things we kind of figured out in 2017 was we went from being an offense that the quarterback for us was, he was going to be in the pocket and he was going to either throw the ball or hand the ball off, to becoming an offense where the quarterback was going to have to be able to run with the football if he's going to be able to bring value to us, because he wasn't just going to be good enough to sit in the pocket and throw the ball around. So he had to be able to do something to make himself valuable as a contributor to the offense. So what we were looking for then is we knew that, hey, we need to make sure that we always have access to some level of athleticism at the quarterback position, so that if our best passers are not available anymore, I need to at least have a quarterback that can run around. Because if I got a guy that can run around, there's not a lot of decision making that he has to do. Okay, I can make a simple system where he's going to make sure the right thing happens with the football, and then when it's in his hands, he goes and he runs with it, and we can have a simple passing game. So, in putting that together in 2017, the first part of that is you start thinking, well, we're just going to go run zone read. You still think of being in 10 personnel or being in 20 personnel or 11, however you want to figure it out. But one of the things that I really started to like was I started seeing some real value in having an athletic quarterback lining up in 12 personnel. Because I can remember going back to my Valdosta State days. Our defensive coordinator at Valdosta State was Ashley Anders. And then right before I left Valdosta State, Joe Cawthon, is the defense coordinator at Houston right now, a guy who helped me a ton in my career, a guy that I have worlds of respect for. He's one of the smartest football coaches I've ever been around. But I can remember both of those guys. I always ask defense coordinators this question: hey, what personnel is going to give you the biggest fits, or what formation? Just on a real basic level, what type of football do you not want to have to line up and prepare for, and all that good stuff? And everybody always says 12 personnel. And the big reason is the additional gaps that get created by it. I mean, I have to be sound with all my run fits. How am I going to figure out how to have people responsible for those extra gaps? Because what happens is the moment we get in 12 personnel, those extra gaps have to be fitted by people in the secondary. Well, the moment the people in the secondary have to fit extra gaps, now we start to force the defense to simplify coverages at the end of the day. And that's what we want to do as much as possible. So when I have an athletic quarterback who is not talented as a drop back passer, reading the coverage, all that good stuff, I want to get into some formation where I can force coverages to simplify. That way, his decision-making process, if we ever have to throw the ball, becomes pre-snap, what side looks better? All right, snap the ball and go work that side. That's a whole lot easier than saying, hey, let's get in 4 wide, snap the ball, and now I want you to progression read X to H to Y to Z to the back. Not happening for that guy. He's not built that way to do that. So I started to really fall in love with the versatility that 12 personnel gives you when you've got an athletic quarterback. Okay. So that's what I'm going to talk about a little bit and kind of walk you through how that started. So you're going to see kind of a progression here, starting in 2017, working its way into 2018. Okay. So let's kind of get into that a little bit. I'm going to share that up.
Sweet. Let's do it.
All right. So we're already shared. Okay. Here we go. So this is 2017. 2017 at Coffeyville. Okay. And we were a big tempo team at Coffeyville. We needed that advantage to be able to really control the game tempo wise. So we built in some really fast tempo things, but everything was built off of we didn't want to go super fast until we had gained a certain amount of yardage. Okay, so our goal was, hey, every time we gained 4 yards or more, then we were going to follow that up with immediate tempo, and we were going to try to go fast. Tempo was going to help keep our quarterback from having to be a heavy thinker. Okay, it was going to force defenses to stay simpler, which made him a better player, but it also gave us some swagger and some confidence. Okay, so every time we gained 4 yards, we were going immediately fast right behind it. What that meant was on the early downs, like 1st and 10, where we're not going tempo yet, I liked being in 12 personnel because I can use shifts and motions to create some heavy misdirection to give us an advantage to create a big gain. Okay. So that's where I started out falling in love with 12 personnel. And the big reason specifically for me that I got it, I wanted it to be 12 personnel and not 21 personnel was because when we were going to go fast with tempo, those tight ends became very versatile for us now because those tight ends were guys that could line up out in space if we needed that to be the case. So we could go from 12 personnel to line up in an 11 personnel type formation or even a 10 personnel type formation. And that made our tempo all that much more dangerous. If I'm going fast, but I'm just continuing to line up in the same 12 personnel formations, then I'm not putting as much stress on a defense as I possibly can. So 12 personnel, specifically the personnel, became a big thing for us because we could get the most out of those tight ends and really go fast and mess people up with formations, which is what we want to do. So anyway, we'll start out just talking about how we can take advantage of 12 personnel with the quarterback being a part of the run game. We're just going to run some inside zone right here, but you can see we're using our shifts to make the strength adjust, and then we're bringing through some speed motion right here. And all we're doing is we're just creating as much eye candy to put stress on the defense as possible. Okay, you can see what it's doing to the 2 backers in the box. The 2 backers in the box get held inside. All right, but what I'm getting now is I'm now getting 2 blockers out on the perimeter to take care of the force players. And now I've got an athletic quarterback doing what he does best, which is making plays out in space. And this kid just did a good job of getting yards for us right here. So a lot of value. And I'm giving number 12 right there, I'm giving him confidence because he goes out and he has an 8-yard gain. Now he's part of the show, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? He's one of the guys. He's one of the stars of the offense now. So I'm giving him confidence week in, week out in practice. All right. This clip's a little bit fast right here, but it's the same set. Okay. I'm in 12 personnel. I've got tight ends winged up down here to the boundary. All right. Our tight ends are winged up. I've got the 2 receivers out here to the field. And now we're just going to go pin pull. Another one of the things I love about having those tight ends is I can create a longer edge and I can make it easier to get myself into some pin pull situations. Okay. And I love being able to run pin pull. I want to be able to dictate to the defense if they're going to play, if they're going to really squeeze us down and play, tight alignments with that defensive line, then I want to have pin pull at my disposal right there. And if you don't have tight ends, it's not always easy to do that. So I do love having tight ends, 12 personnel. So we're going to go pin pull into the boundary, and I'm going to end up with my first tight end is going to be blocking down. right here. So I've got that block happening right there on the defensive end. I've got the other tight end is now pulling out there for force. And then I've got my two pullers coming around for the two backers in the box. So I'm really getting a caravan out there in place. The other part that makes this valuable is I've also got the tailback because I'm running this with the quarterback. So now I've got the tailback is the free guy to get all the way up to the safety. So I'm getting a lot of blockers out in space. I'm really kind of just taking advantage of what's there for us. And you can see us out there. We got a caravan of people out in front of that quarterback, and we are out running. How do I get the
clear?
I was hitting clear, but it didn't do nothing.
Okay.
All right. So we're getting a pin on the 6 technique right there. Tackles blocking down on the 3 technique. So I'm getting that. I'm getting tackle blocking down. I get play side guard pulling. Center's blocking down. I get backside guard pulling. My two guards are pulling for the 2 backers in the box. I've got the extra tight end pulling for force, and then I've got the tailback as the extra lead in front of us to get all the way up to the safety. So I've got everybody taken care of right here. We've got a big numbers advantage because of the QB run game. Quarterback does a good job just staying patient with it, following his people, and getting around the edge. All right. Some more misdirection right here. We're going to shift. We're going to bring him in motion. Now we're going to run power read. So I've got the extra tight end, the sniffer. I've got him releasing for force right here. I've got the quick toss to the tailback. We're going to read the first backer in the box to the call side. If he expands, then we're going to be quarterback power down here. So I've got the backside guard is pulling right here. We're actually, I guess you could call it counter because we're going to take the backside guard to kick out the end if the end shows up. Okay, end doesn't show up right here. So
yeah, it's
we're
almost
just
like a trap scheme. You're kind of marrying a little bit of power, countering a little bit of trap all together.
Yep, we're just and all we're doing is reading that backer. If that backer expands to take the toss, then we're going to keep it and get straight downhill with it. And that quarterback was really good at that stuff right there. So you can see right there, just in those 3 plays, we get a huge advantage by having the quarterback be a part of the run game. We can use our misdirection to create some problems. And what we're forcing that defense to do is figure out how are you going to get the 8th guy in the box? How are you maybe even going to get the 9th guy in the box, depending on how athletic my quarterback is, okay? What it really does for the quarterback is it simplifies the passing game. We're putting stress on the safeties. So now my passing game, I'm an air raid guy. I want drop back passers who can, sit and do progression reads and go out there, sling the ball around. But if I don't got access to that, then my season's over with. So, but I'm going to have to throw the ball at some point. So by having 12 personnel quarterback run game and forcing those safeties to be a part of the box, now my passing game is stuff where it's not necessarily reads. Now it's just shots. Hey, I get the safeties to bite up. We're just going to hit a little play action, and let's throw something deep over the top. We know we're getting one-on-one coverage. We know that because we've been running the ball all night long. So 12 personnel right here. You can see we're just getting straight one-on-one, and it's because we're forcing those safeties to come down. We had been running some inside zone or some pin and pull stuff where we were releasing the backside tight end to kind of throw RPO off of it. We were just doing it just to make sure that we were getting those safeties covering those tight ends, just making them bite down. So this play right here, there was no read involved on this play. The only thing that this quarterback is reading is he just knows he's throwing it to the post. He didn't have any other read going on. And we were going to call this play when we knew that they had been playing us by getting those safeties down. So I've taken a kid who's not necessarily great at throwing the football, but I've made him a whole lot better at doing it, because now he's just focusing on getting the ball out there in space instead of trying to figure out who he's supposed to throw it to. I think we end up dropping this one. Yeah, we ended up dropping that one. But in terms of our plan and getting the most out of that quarterback, we were doing a good job with that kid, putting him in position to be successful.
Love it.
All right. So fast forward a year, we kind of learned those lessons in 2017. Now you and I get together, we're in 2018. And, in the early part of the year, we were kind of like we were early on at Coffeyville, where I'd say probably our two biggest personnels early in the year were 10 and 11. Would you agree with that?
100%.
We were definitely a 10 and 11 team. But by the time we had gotten this late in the year, I think this was week 5 or 6. This was after DuPage, so this was definitely the middle of the year. We had lost our starting quarterback, Jack Bastable. This was not too long after Iowa Western, where Mark Wright had gotten hurt. We lost him for a few weeks. So we needed every advantage that we could get at the quarterback position. And so we sat down and we talked about using, we did have Big Pee Wee right here. Okay.
The tank.
We had the tank. And Pee Wee was a big arm and a big body. He was a kid who could do physical things at the quarterback position, but he was a kid that could also throw the ball around. Okay. Now he was a true freshman, so he wasn't an experienced guy that could just sit there and read the field and pick a defense apart, but he had talent that we could build on. And that talent was big and physical, and he could run with the football, and he had a big, strong arm. Now that's something that we can take advantage of right there. So now we take our 12 personnel and let's expand it a level. All right. Instead of being in our 12 personnel like what you were just seeing at Coffeyville, we were doing some things at Coffeyville where we were taking advantage of getting the quarterback out around the edge, getting him out in space. For Pee Wee, getting around the edge was not going to be – he wasn't a super fast guy. Pee Wee's big advantages were going to be in between the tackles, quarterback power, quarterback dart, those type of things. He was going to be a guy who was going to be able to pop us, 4 or 5 yards. And that's okay. That's what we wanted. But he did have a big arm. So instead of getting in 12 personnel with that running back there in the backfield, we expanded it out a little bit. And so now the run game is all the quarterback, okay? Now here's what gets really valuable right now. So now instead of having that 12 personnel with 2 wide receivers in the game, we've got 12 personnel, but now we've got 3 wide receivers in the game. Well, every one of those receivers is going to have to be accounted for, right? We know that's going to be the case. But if you just look at the box, we've got 2 tight ends, or 1 on the line of scrimmage and 1 off. As far as anybody's concerned, X and O's wise, that's 21 personnel run game that's sitting in that box right now. Well, how does any defense want to line up and play 21 personnel run game? Well, if I'm going against a traditional pro style offense, I'm going to get in single high. I'm going to cheat the other one of the safeties down into the box, and I'm going to play either cover 3 or man free with the other safety playing high. And that's a good plan to have against 21 personnel. You can at least dictate to the offense which side they're going to run the ball to. Are they going to run it strong, or are they going to run it weak? Now things have changed, because now we have 3 receivers out in space instead of just simply 2. So now for the defense, they can't simply stay in one high and cheat the other safety down into the box, because now they're not covering all 3 receivers, right? So now we put the defense at a disadvantage, because each one of these receivers has to be accounted for. So we got a corner on each receiver, and we're going to take one of the safeties and put the safety over the other one. Well, they're still not cheating the 8th man down to the box until they go cover 0. So now we're making it harder for the defense, where they have to decide, in order to get 8 men in the box, you're going to have to go 0. So you have nobody sitting back deep. Even if you play man free, you're not getting 8 people down into that box against our 21 personnel run game. So now we're in a situation where the defense is not dictating to us. We are dictating to the defense. All right. Now, I think you and I both know one of our big struggles this year is we were beat up at quarterback. I think we were pretty beat up at O-line as well. You know, we weren't going out there and just dominating people at the offensive line position.
Coach, I think there was like 2 games on the schedule where we had the same 5 starting up front. And we had 1 week where we had both our tight ends wearing 2 jerseys to play offensive line.
Right.
Yes, you could definitely say that was the case.
This crew right here was duct taped together, to say the least. Well, so you can see right here, one thing that we know is that when we go, we call this 12 Pee-wee or 12 Tebow, right? Well, if they're going to play too high against this, then you might as well be running a 4-1 box against 11 personnel. There's just nobody there to be able to handle the numbers. So right here in this clip, we're just going to go ahead and run quarterback power. They're in too high coverage. We have an immense numbers gain in the box. They've got a 6-man box. We've got 7 blockers. So we're going to get a chance to take advantage of this. And the other thing I love about it, we've eliminated the exchange between the quarterback and the running back. So it's faster vision from the ball carrier. Quarterback catches a shotgun snap. He shows a little bit of hesitation so that he can see what's developing in front of him, and then he's just going to get downhill. Now, amazingly, we trip each other, so we only gain 5. But we should definitely, in this one, you know, if we just don't go out there and run into each other, this is easily going to be a 10-yard gain. Okay?
Oh, it's brutal.
The important part on it is that for our job of what we're supposed to do, which is put our players in position to go out there and take advantage of their talents. We've got a talented young quarterback who's a physical athlete running north and south through the middle of the field. This right here, this should be a 10-yard gain, no doubt. All right. So we're creating some issues right here for the defense. You can see it from the end zone view. All right. It's a 4-2 box. They've got those 2 backers shifted over to where the 2 tight ends are at.
It was like he tried to cut and just kind of missed his footing almost.
Yeah, I don't know what happened right there.
It's wild. I mean, that's kind of a microcosm of how 2018 went for us, though. So
that's it right there. But we're at least putting together a package that's going to create problems for the defense. Because things that we did have is we did have two tight ends that were really talented, good football players. We had a quarterback that was talented. We did have guys out there on the edge that could run around and catch the ball and make some plays. So we were at least taking advantage of what we had. Okay. And the thing I love about getting in this, what we would call 12 Tebow or 12 Pee-wee personnel, is Pee-wee is the quarterback, but he's also the running back. And we're forcing the corners and at least one of the safeties to get out in space. So all they have is the 7 men in the box, and if they want to get the 8th one down, they have to bring the other safety down into the box and play 0 coverage. And if for Pee-wee, if I can have Pee-wee go throw the ball versus 0 coverage instead of, say, cover 2, then Pee-wee's a better player, because how do you throw the ball versus 0 coverage? There's no read on 0 coverage. There's pick the matchup you want and go throw that route. Pee-wee can do that. And especially for double moves, downfield throws, things like that, he's got the arm to be able to get that done. Now, you also love having this package down around the goal line, because, and this is where the Tebow part comes in, but, you know, you get the advantage to take or you get the chance to take advantage of that, that 12 personnel run game, run them up in there, but you get those cheap little pop passes. You know what I mean? I love those cheap little pop passes.
I'm gonna have to send this to my man Luke McCall, who says he
You
can't
got
catch.
to. Luke squared up, got big right there. So here you can see right now, same situation going on. We're on a 12 personnel. Hey, let's do some shifting around, take advantage of what we got here. But you can look where are the safeties at. The safeties are all down around the box. Okay. There's, what we're going to end up with is we got one-on-one coverage, one-on-one coverage, one-on-one coverage. We can easily play action this, and let's go throw some one-on-one throws. Now Pee Wee's a better player for us right now because he's just got to go throw that one-on-one matchup. All right, and we end up completing this right there for a big gain, but we're not making Pee Wee do things that he's not ready to do yet. And most importantly is this, for a young quarterback, that rep right there is going to become valuable because now he's going to develop more, whether he's running complicated plays or not. Just the fact that he's on the field experiencing, college speed football and going out there and playing with it, he's going to be that much better of a player going into next year on these deals. And you just keep things easy. Again, same thing. You look at where the safeties are at. This safety's playing down closer to the tight end side, but we're not getting any type of cloud looks, right? We're not getting low corner, high safety and a backer, buzzing out in space. We're not dealing with any of that type of technique. The technique that we're getting from the coverage is, hey, you stay over top of that route, you stay over top of that route. Simple looks from the secondary. So for the quarterback, it's simple reads. Right now, we're going to run a drop back pass. I've got max protection going on, which was definitely helping us out back then. But he's just going to pick which half of the field he wants to work. And he looks down here to the bottom. This safety is non-existent in terms of helping this one-on-one. So we're just going to work a short stem route and just go throw the one-on-one. Those are easy things for that quarterback. You can see it from his angle back there. You can see how tight that safety is to the interior cylinder, and he can just go pick his one-on-one and go throw him a completion. We all take advantage of it. All right. Now, so you get that advantage in terms of the run game and getting the pass game involved. What I really loved is when we started building RPOs into this thing, Ramey. And
Yeah, you did.
Oh, but this was like, I'll be honest, if you were the one that really got me excited about a vertical RPO game, because that's something I tried to stay away from before because I really didn't want to complicate things for my quarterbacks. I didn't want the quarterbacks taking a ton of risks. But you kind of helped me ease my mind a little bit on some of those things, and we built some really good stuff. Now, this isn't the vertical stuff, but we're gonna build in a simple RPO right here. We're actually gonna run a quick screen down here to the bottom. So I'm gonna have a one-step quick screen, and I'm gonna take our two tight ends, and they're gonna release out for the corner and whoever the alley player is gonna be. So we're gonna get those guys out here in space to the boundary. We're going to have just a simple screen RPO up top. But what we're running in the box is we're going to run dart in the box. We're actually going to pull this backside tackle.
That's right.
For that play side backer, and we're going to read the defensive end. We're telling the quarterback this. Pre-snap that. If you like the bubble, throw it. Okay? If it's covered, which right now we're going to call that 2/2 because of how low down the safety is. That's going to be 2/2. We're not going to throw the bubble. So he's going to look over here to this one, and we're going to try to throw what we called the Bubba screen.
Bubba.
And if the defensive end comes upfield and gets in the way of our throw, then we're going to run quarterback dart. Otherwise, we're throwing it down here to the bottom. So here we go. Defensive end doesn't take it away. We throw it down there. Wide receiver does the right thing and just gets north and south upfield right now.
And if he had found a way to tiptoe along that sideline, he might still be running 3 years later.
I know.
Still, that's a 5-yard gain on just a little now screen out there, right?
Yep.
Fast, simple, easy.
Now, this is where we started building in the vertical RPO game. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to carry, I believe we were going to go pin and pull down here to the boundary. It was either pin and pull or counter. I'll have to see it here in a second. But what we're going to do is look at the field right now. We've got 4 down linemen, edge backer walked up, 2 backers in the box, got another edge guy here. There are no safeties deep right now, right?
Correct.
Straight zero coverage. Well, this kid can throw the ball versus zero coverage. He's got the talent to do that. So look, now we're going to carry our vertical RPO game, and the quarterback is going to be able to pre-snap, look at this, and say, "Hey, I've got true one-on-one. We're going to run a 5-step bang post, or basically a glorified bender with the inside receiver. And if everybody in here continues to play the run like they're looking like pre-snap, then I'm going to end up throwing this downfield." And you'll see him react to it right here. Everybody's down in the box. Quarterback is kind of sliding to where his run play goes. But if everybody stays committed to it and nobody's dropping out to help that, then he's going to go throw that inside bender. And that's a big play for us right there.
Call that rifle, correct?
Yep, that was rifle for us. Quarterback's just sliding to where his run play goes. And that's the thing I love about it is the quarterback gets to kind of handle his own RPO technique right here, where he can just kind of slide. He doesn't have a run mesh going on, so his feet can be on the move while he's also putting his eyes downfield where they need to be at. I think this is really tough stuff for defenses. I mean, how do you stop that right there?
Not being zero.
Exactly. But I honestly, Ramey, I've always said this. The best coaching jobs that I've ever been a part of have not necessarily always been the most successful coaching jobs I've ever been a part of. Like in 3 years as the OC at Butler, in 2012, we averaged 50 a game. In 2014, we averaged like 45, 46 a game. And in 2013, we struggled. 2013 was the best coaching job offensively that I was a part of because, we struggled because we had matchup issues. Well, when you got matchup issues, when you can't just line up and go physically beat the people across from you, then you got to figure out as a coach how to make the game simple for your players to get the most out of their ability. So for me, the best coaching jobs that I've ever had a chance to be a part of, in terms of being a part of a staff, were the hardest years. 2013 at Butler, 2017 at Coffeyville, and then 2018 at Ellsworth. I mean, they should have given us a freaking award for the job we did there. I thought we did a heck of a job. And those are some of the proudest things that I'll get to be a part of. But man, I mean, you talk about going out and exploring the game of football and figuring out how to plan and get the most for your players. I was really proud of that. What we did in 2018 with the way we took advantage of our 12 personnel, I really felt like we were getting the most out of our players and giving them the most confidence at the same time.
Yeah, I totally agree. That year was such a weird year, but the amount of kind of lessons I learned just kind of being a part of it and going into this year in the last 2 years where I'm at right now. When I took over here at Queen City as the OC, the kids had gone through like an 0-27 record, hadn't won a district game in several years. And, we didn't make the playoffs. We finished 5-4, but to go from 0 and a long number to a successful winning season. That's something you can kind of build upon. We have the quarterback coming back from this year, and some really good young players. So, but a lot of what we did once last year's group, that the quarterback we had last year was a senior, and then moving into this junior who is more of the scrambler around, big arm, but not quite ready to go out there and make 4 progressions. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of what we did at Ellsworth those last 5 weeks really kind of morphed into who we were this year. And so
Really?
it's kind of fun going back down memory lane a little bit, because there was a lot of stuff like I forgot we did. And it was like, man, we were we were in the
Yeah.
thick of it, man. that year.
Well, and plus the funny thing is you remember week 1 through week 4 was like all, I mean, it was just nothing but 10 personnel. We were out there just calling 4 verts and 95 and stick and, you know, just running nothing but inside zone and some power. And but man, you get to the late part of the year, you know, we carried dart. I hadn't carried dart since Valdosta State. You know, we
ran dart against DuPage
running,
to the tune of like 220 rushing yards, I think.
yeah. Well, and by the end of the year, we're running nothing but outside zone.
Out of pistol.
Yeah, I mean, just we threw everything we could at that board trying to make it stick, and so. But the value in it is, man, I if I'm ever in a situation to, you know, if I'm ever a head coach again, I don't know that I'm ever going to take an approach to go and just go find the winningest assistant coaches. I think the best assistant coaches you're going to be able to go find and hire are guys who are, maybe they don't got the best record, but they're competing week in and week out, and you're seeing them get the most out of, you know, less players. Those are the guys that I think got the most value. And I'd tell you what, most fun I ever had was figuring out how to do a whole bunch with a whole lot less, in terms of coaching job. I mean, it is really fun to go out there like in 2014 and, you know, just throw a screen to Michael Gallup and watch him run 80 yards for a touchdown. I mean, that makes me look really smart, right?
No doubt.
But you know, anyway. That's all
Well,
I
shoot,
got.
man, I had a good time and glad you got to come hang out and experiment with me on this. Like I said, this is the first time we're doing this, so thanks for being my guinea pig.
Yeah, maybe I can get down to Texas here someday soon after COVID goes away. We can do this again while eating some tacos.
Facts. I'm gonna go cook some right now. Actually, I haven't done dinner yet, so that's gonna be dinner. So just remember, Coach Haynes, when you get in trouble, run power, throw stick, eat tacos. That's our message here. So it's
Will
the
do.
keys of a happy life.
Will do, man.
All right. Well, I'll let you get off and go take care of business. Tell Julianne I said hello.
Will do.
Y'all have a good evening over there.
All right, Ram Dog. Be good, man.
Always.
Bye.
Hey, I appreciate everybody that stuck around and watched this episode with us and trying out this new little outreach coaches talk show / clinic video that I'm trying to put together. As I mentioned earlier, this is the PST Coach Cast, and so PST stands for Power, Stick, and Tacos. So I'm gonna finish editing this little clip together, make sure everything looks okay on my end, while I enjoy some tacos. Appreciate everybody that stuck around. Hopefully this gets a little bit of traction. We can do some more of this and maybe grow some popularity and get some new and exciting coaches on, and just keep expanding kind of a community and learn some ball together and just shoot the breeze a little bit. So my name is Jonathan Ramey. Thanks for being here one more time, and until next time, run power, throw sticks, eat your tacos. Bye.